Hello, my name is Amandine de Coster. I'm a project manager at CINEA, and I would now like to present the topic Build Skills, which is entitled Build Up Skills, Rebooting the National Platforms and Roadmaps. So in order to better understand the rationale behind this topic, it's actually important to go back in time a little and to present you a wider initiative that this topic is supporting. So Build Up Skills, that's the name, was launched 10 years ago with the main objective to support the upskilling of building professionals on issues related to energy efficiency and renewables. This initiative has really evolved over time. It's been supported by successive programs, namely Intelligent Energy Europe, then Horizon 2020, and now Live Clean Energy Transition. The efforts, they have been really focusing around three main focus areas, namely the skill set that is required to promote deep renovation and new nearly zero energy buildings, but also the digital skills supporting the energy transition of the building stock, and as well the measures needed to increase the demand for skills and skilled professionals. Three main target groups have been supported. On the one hand, building professionals and companies, but also public authorities, and of course, building owners and tenants. 49 million euros of EU funding have been granted since 2011, and no less than 77 projects have been funded so far, and 10 are still ongoing. So it's a big pipeline of projects. In the first phase of the initiative, which we often refer to as Pillar 1, what we did was to fund national projects, which had as a main objective to initiate and develop a strategic approach. And these relied on three main elements. So first of all, the project teams, they gathered all the key national stakeholders from the energy sector, from the education and training sector, and also from the building sector, obviously. And all together, these actors, they formed a national qualification platform. Then the platforms did a lot of work in the sense that they mapped the existing workforce and the qualification programs. They also identified the future needs and the gaps and the barriers that should be overcome to have a skilled workforce meeting the 2020 energy targets. And the result of this work was bundled in a national status quo report. And on this basis, the platform then formulated measures to over the gaps and the barriers in the form of national roadmaps. These roadmaps were then endorsed by national stakeholders. And this first phase was really of key importance, as in many cases, it was really the first time that all the actors from the value chain were sitting together to discuss the skills agenda in the building sector. So altogether, 30 national projects were funded, and you can find the results at the link provided on this slide. If we want to briefly summarize the journey we've made since 2011, after this initial strategic phase, we have supported national projects that turn the roadmaps into action by developing national qualification and training schemes. Under Horizon 2020, we have expanded the scope by also supporting transnational projects. More recently, in the course of 2019-20, we have also been supporting projects looking at the demand side, the measures boosting the demand for skilled professionals, for example, the skills-based procurement. And now, 10 years after the first roadmaps were produced, it's really time to update the initial strategies so we can really continue to steer the initiative on the right basis. In this publication, you will be able to find more insights into some recent projects we've been funding under this initiative, and this publication will be further updated in the autumn. It seems really important to update the initial strategies as the building sector has been really going through rapid changes and also facing new developments. And this means that there are new skills required from professionals. We can just mention a few. For example, the importance of the digitalization of the construction process, for example, through building information modeling, which actually require new ways of interacting and communicating between all the actors involved. Also, the increased industrialization of the construction and renovation processes, where, for example, prefabrication is playing a very important part. But also the emergence of smart buildings, where actually buildings become an integral part of the energy systems. They interact with the grid and the occupants. So it's a very new paradigm. Also, there is, I think, increased consideration the occupants, their needs, whether in terms of quality, comfort, for example. And last but not least, there is also an increased consideration of life cycle approaches, looking not only at energy efficiency, but more holistically at circularity and resource efficiency. So it's really a new landscape that requires new skills. To capture these changes, there was recently a 4-year-long stakeholders-led project that's been launched under Erasmus+. It's a partnership of vocational education and training providers, companies, and other stakeholders from 12 member states. And the main objective is actually to develop a sectoral strategy for skills intelligence, very much focusing on the 3 key priorities of digitalization, energy efficiency, and circular economy. This project focuses on professions up to level 5 in the European qualification framework. I will insist on that because it's important for what I will explain later. And among others, the project has already delivered status quo report and also roadmap and an action plan, which is available at the link indicated here, and which will be further updated. But later on in the project, there will be also a skills observatory, as well new training curricula and online courses, also a report on the professions and the qualifications that need to be modernized, and also national reports on the upgrading of occupational profiles. So there's quite a rich set of results that is expected, and you will be able to find out more on the project website. Now, having set the scene, we can, I think, outline how the build skills topic will try to complement this landscape. So in terms of the objectives, they are twofold. First is to support the revitalization of the national platforms that were created 10 years ago, gathering all key national stakeholders and even expanding their scope by involving new stakeholders where relevant. And it's also to update the status quo analysis and the national roadmaps to reflect the new realities of the building sector that I just highlighted. Now, if we look a bit more specifically at the scope, what we can say is that because there are very specific national features in the building and construction sectors and also in the education sector, we would actually expect that applications would focus on a single country. At the same time, because applications are expected to involve either directly or indirectly all the relevant stakeholders in a country, we would also expect, in principle, one action per country. Of course, the updated roadmaps that will be produced may foresee a regional implementation of some of the priority measures. It's also important to stress that under this topic, applications may be submitted by a single applicant. The topic also insists on the need to demonstrate a good knowledge of the build-up skills initiatives, obviously. Applicants don't have to be involved in ongoing or past projects, but at least demonstrate they know well the initiative. It will be equally very important that applications demonstrate how they support the work done within the European Construction Blueprint that I briefly presented. So the build skills topic is broader than the blueprint in the sense that we aim to cover all the professions from level 1 to 8 in the European qualification framework. But as well, the build skills topic aims to support the countries that are not covered by the blueprint, obviously. And for countries that are already covered in the blueprint, applications will be asked to demonstrate how the proposed activities will complement those of the blueprint, how they will support what has been done in the blueprint, the long-term implementation of these activities, and maybe covering areas, skills, and professions that were not covered in the blueprint. Equally, applicants are asked to think about measures to help the reskilling of workers and professionals involved in fossil fuel related sectors and regions, and also to put forward measures that will make the sector more attractive for women. Projects are expected to carry out at least the following activities, of course, as far as they are not already addressed through the blueprint. So first of all, the relaunching of the platforms through dedicated communication channels, regular meetings. Then to conduct a market research and data collection, which we also call the status quo analysis. And importantly, this should be ready within the first 9 months of the project. So results are available to then inform the rest of the project. Projects are also expected to carry out an evaluation of the effectiveness of the first roadmap implementation. Targeted interviews and participatory workshops with relevant national stakeholders and target groups should be conducted. And on the basis of all this, the projects obviously are expected to update the national roadmap with measures to 2030 and policy recommendations. The topic also insists very much on the need for the roadmap to receive an endorsement by relevant national stakeholders. And by this, we mean not only national authorities, but also social partners, industry, academia, you name it. This may, of course, vary from country to country. Equally important are the promotion and communication of the results of the project and an active participation in the exchange activities that we will be organizing at European level. Because these projects are expected very much to steer the direction of the build-up skills initiatives in the coming years, the expected project duration is 18 months. We think this is optimal given what is expected. In terms of expected European contribution per project, the topic mentions 400,000 euros. In terms of impacts, there are 7 impacts listed. The first one will be the actual upgrading of the national platform involving all key national stakeholders. Secondly, the quality of the updated national status quo analysis. Then the quality of the measures presented in the updated roadmap. Then, very important, yes, the number of people directly engaged through the project activities. Also the number of relevant national stakeholders endorsing the roadmap at the end of the action. And then obviously primary energy savings and renewable energy production, as well as investment in sustainable energy. So this was a short presentation of the Build Skills project. I hope I managed to show how it really intends to build on previous work done for the last 10 years, and also complementing the Blueprint initiative with really the objective to deliver robust strategies that will help member states move towards the 2030 targets. So with this, I finish my presentation, and I wish you good luck for your preparation. Thank you.